Welcome back to Let's Play Guild Wars 2. I've tried recording this episode like 5 times because I just... Basically, what I want to do in this episode is I want to talk a little bit about the Icebrood Saga, my thoughts on it, some things from a couple different standpoints. And as you might imagine, it's kind of hard to do that when you're playing PvP. So it's been a little rambly, but I think I finally got the hang of it. I got the point of what I want to say. And more importantly, when I finally do say what I want to say, I'm just going to shut up so that I don't keep repeating myself or anything like that. So first I want to start out with the Icebrood Saga. I'll preface before I even get into my arguments is that yes, it is free. I understand that. It is free. I get it. Obviously, yes, I understand as well that it's being developed in the midst of, you know, the fact that the world is ending, or feels like it's ended. I understand that. With that said, let me start out by saying I think the story that we're seeing in the Icebrood Saga is actually really solid. I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty obviously, in a way, trying to set up End of Dragons for what we'll probably move into in End of Dragons, whenever the hell that gets released. I don't even know if we have a timetable for that yet. But, you know, like, I think that's pretty decent. And I like what we're seeing. Bram becoming Primordus' champion felt like it came a little bit out of left field. Mainly in the sense that he it just seemed to me like he was really focused on like commanding the spirits and stuff, and like now all of a sudden he's like, I shall be Primordus' champion. It just felt a little weird. I don't know if I could say it's bad necessarily. I don't think it is bad. Wow. I'm gonna have to spin. Like I said, and I don't necessarily think it is bad. I just think, you know, it came a little bit out of left field, but I think they played it well, and the fact that they let us play it, I think, was really, really smart on their part. I think that was just a really smart way to do that entire chapter, really, because I don't think it would have been nearly as good if we didn't get to play it. If they just, like, told us, like, hey, Bram is Primordus' champion right now, and, like, we didn't see him going into the volcano and stuff like that, I think it would have been really, really hollow. So I really enjoyed that aspect, and really the way they did it. And like I said, for the most part, I do like what they're doing with the story, that they are really building up this sort of feeling that, like, oh my god, the world is ending. Like, things are going so unbelievably wrong, like, it feels like the world is ending. Because I think that's probably what they're trying to do with End of Dragons. They're trying to set up that sort of feeling, and that's a tough thing to do, and I think they're doing a really good job, at least initially, of trying to set that up. Oh, I hate everything. I hate everything. I hate everything to degrees I almost can't describe. Oh my god. I mean, we have all 3 points, but I still hate everything to degrees I almost can't describe. But I really like what they're doing in that respect. And I think, like I said, they're doing a great job setting the stage, and it's really hard to adequately set the stage for what is appearing to be the impending finale. You know? So I will give them tons of credit in that respect. Unfortunately, I will come right out and say, quite frankly, the gameplay that we have seen in End of Dragons so far has not been good. At all, actually. We are basically doing the same thing. What? We are basically doing the same thing in every episode, which is we get a phone call. We get a phone call. I'm dying. What the hell? We get a phone call from one of our buddies, our pals. I actually straight up can't kill that guy. Like, I went down? Okay, I'm up. we get a phone call from one of our buddies who's like, hey, we got destroyers coming out of the woodwork, sometimes literally, you know, and we got to go and help them. You know, like that is how every chapter so far of this expansion pack has begun. I mean, and I don't even think necessarily that's exaggeration. I'm pretty sure that's just truth. And it's gotten really, really boring at this point. Like, I will straight up say, at this point, in this part of the, you know, like, after we're the third chapter at this point, it's real boring. Like, almost obnoxiously so. I really need to take a minute here and heal. I can't jump in there right now. I don't have blade. If I had blade spin, maybe, but I think we just rally back to the point here. I was gonna say, because we can. Wow, we're stomping them actually, because we can regroup here. The gameplay's been really bad. Like, it's really boring, and a lot of times it feels like they're padding that volcano section with Bram. As cool as it was from the story aspect that they let us see that, it was probably 15 minutes longer than it needed to be, and I'm not even kidding when I say that. That might seem like a relatively big number, 15 minutes. Like, oh, 15 minutes, that's a pretty long time. No, it probably was 15 minutes longer than it actually needed to be. And it was just padded out with tons and tons of enemies. And not only that, too, another thing that I have not been all that happy with is there's, like, nothing to do after you do the instances. All of the events, like, in terms of extra things you can do, are just tied back to the instances, the achievements. It's basically just go back into the dragon response and do it again. I mean, that is what most of these achievements are. And that is really, really, just in my opinion, not great. I need to actually hit her because I'm gonna die. Wow, we're winning. What is this? Is this an elementalist with a bow? Oh, it's a revenant. Two people healing. And not only that, but like I said, there's really not a whole lot to do after you actually finish the instances. There's just not a lot going on. There's not really any new content, because even if you can do it again, that doesn't mean it's new, you know? And it's like, gosh, man. Hey, that is top damage. Whoa, I got 3 achievements. That's what I get for losing like 3 or 4 matches before this. Wow, look at all the damage I did. Some top damage. I don't even know how long that was. Anyway. And, you know, I think that's a real kind of... Because I think a lot of what made the previous expansions good, of course, was the story. And that's what I want. I want the story to be good. But part of what made those previous expansions so good is that they had a lot for you to do. And that's just not the case here. There's just nothing extra to do. And I understand, like I said, I get it. It's free. But my biggest issue in that sense is in the sense of sitting here and saying, oh, it's free, is that they very much marketed Icefruit Saga like another expansion. So if you're going to market it like another expansion, I expect what I got from the other expansions. If they wanted to almost downplay it and say like, hey, this is a little extra sort of thing, we're going to break it out into episodes while we're leading up to End of Dragons and whatnot, you know, like I would be way more understanding if there wasn't a ton of stuff to do. But you marketed this like an expansion, and the reality is there's not enough to do here for an expansion. Even in the sense of, you know, like you could say, what the hell are these? Stormcaller weapons? I don't know, they look cool. What the hell? Where did all this stuff? I don't understand. What the hell? Is that because, did I just hit a level? No, that's weird. Anyway. That like completely just rocked my world. Jesus. Even if you want to say, well, you have the events, the rally events, those are only for like a week, and then they go away forever. And the rally events are just connected again to the dragon responses. You're just doing the same thing again. Like, it's because that's how you get the supplies for the rally event. It's like it feels like they took a premise, which was these dragon response missions, and said we're gonna make an entire story around it. And that's like, you just can't do that. We're just not doing enough. Like I said, like, as much as I'm enjoying the story, like, doing this third chapter called Kill 100. Oh, maybe we should do that. Maybe we'll do that next episode. That's interesting. Kill 100 animals. What was it? It was I'm gonna add that to my tracker. Special mission. Where was that? Where was that? Wow, I didn't realize they were these. There's tons of these. Wow. Maybe we should do some of these. This doesn't seem that bad. So the rally, and then the rally events leave. After a week, they're just gone. So all we've gotten to do outside of the story instances are repeats of the story instances and rally events, which are, again, repeats of the story instances that disappear. Like, there needs to be more. And you gotta imagine, too, we're not even going to new areas anymore. We're in the same areas because they're cropping up, these destroyers are cropping up in areas that we've already been to. So it's like I will straight up say, I did not enjoy this third chapter nearly as much as the other two because it's gotten so stale. Just doing the same thing. I mean, we've done, 9 dragon response missions at this point or something like that? Like, it just got so boring. Even with the new bosses at the end, it's the same thing. You're running around killing a selection of enemies, trying to fulfill a goal, and now you're doing it for the 9th time. Like, it's just, and to get achievements and whatnot, they want you to do it again. Like, it's just, there's not enough here. And like I said, maybe there was more planned, and maybe the pandemic put that on hold. I don't know. But my ultimate opinion of this is that I really like what they're doing with the story, and I really like where they're going. But I think the execution of everything around that story has been really, really poor. There's just no other way to say it, unfortunately. It's just, there's just not enough to do. The premise isn't good enough to be done this many times. And that's a real shame. I think maybe they could have tried to bring in maybe some new strike missions where you're fighting destroyers, or maybe even strike missions where you're fighting different versions of these bosses or something. But it's definitely a little lacking in that department, unfortunately. And it stinks because I want to be able to sit here and say, like, it's super good, and like I said, it is free, and and I'll take anything that's free. But it does not, at this point, in my opinion, unless Chapter 4 completely blows me away. And at this point, too, I have to even question, are we even going to fight Primordus and Jormag in Chapter 4? Or are they going to save that for End of Dragons? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. But it's just, it's not as good as what's come before it. And that is a shame. Makes me very unhappy. It makes me very sad. Because I wanted it to be that good. Especially, like I said, with the way that they basically said it was an expansion. It's like, well, every expansion, run into Aurene, talk to Aurene. Aurene is doubtful. Run back to a dragon response mission, blah, 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 blah. Kill the people, come back, talk to Aurene again, we go back to the dragon. That's what we've done that for 3 chapters now. It's what we've done for 3 straight chapters. Like, and at some point, like, even though I am someone that prefers story, like, I will take a good story and, like, average gameplay over, like, great gameplay, especially in an RPG, because I am that type of person. The story, in my opinion, is what will keep me playing. If the story is good enough to make me want to know more about it, then it will get, but it's like, the gameplay has to be comparable, like, at least to some extent. Like, I always think of, like, the Last of Us. Like, I think if you ask any person who's played The Last of Us, either one of them, they're boring gameplay wise, but they're good enough to keep your attention. Like, this is, like, I was sleepwalking, especially during the last the last mission we did. Like I was sleep, like I was just leaned back in my chair like asleep. Like it's just, I don't know. But anyway, that is where I'm gonna end this episode. Kukumura thanks you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.